Good morning. Tuesday before Thanksgiving here at Jungle Bob Repair. Today we are going to do a video on how to put a spindle or replace a spindle. Just take the old one off and put the new one on. A Toro Zmaster, I think it's a Z400. The model number is 74417. It's a 48-inch turbo force, whatever it is. I think it's got 23 horsepower Cowie on it. Anyway, it's got spindle problem. The middle spindle is wobbling around. There goes the air compressor. What do you know? Let's catch that thing. Anyway, if you're interested, stay tuned and we'll get right into it. Here she is. It's the Zmaster. Everybody's familiar with it. This happens to be a Toro commercial Zmaster. I think it's a Z400 or Z40. I don't know. It's 74417. Anyway, the spindle that is in question is right here. When it's running, it's wobbling really bad, so the bearings are going in it. Here we have our brand new spindle assembly straight from Toro. Mr. $170 worth of spindle. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the belt off, release the belt from the, which is kind of loose, look at that. It needs tensioning up. But we're going to release the belt, get it off, and then you got these 6 nuts. But these bolts are threaded through the frame as well. I'm going to go ahead and pop these off and it should just fall right out, but I may have to go underneath from the underside and screw the bolts out because it's supposed to be threaded. Just depends if it's been changed before. If it's been changed before, chances are the threads are not there anymore, and you know that's what we got. But so we're gonna get right into that. I'll be back. Guys, so to make this easy, I haven't taken the blade off the bottom side yet, but we're gonna have to transfer this pulley over. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and break this bolt loose first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take these 3 off here so we can get this pulley off while the belt's still on. I'm going to have to use my air impact. Dang, I wish I had one of them Milwaukee cordless impacts. I need to get me one for Christmas. Hint, hint, hint. But, so we're going to take this main nut off here, and then probably the blade and the whole, I don't know, the shaft's going to fall out on the ground. And then we'll take this, these 3 out, get that pulley off before we unloosen the whole spindle. Give me a second. We'll be using our Tecton driver impacts that Mr. David Maximilian, otherwise known as the Lawnmower Detective, gave me a while back. Or actually, I won them on one of his contests. But it's a 15/16 in case anybody out there is wondering. Got the old Harbor Freight earthquake. Yeah, I only had my pressure up to about 50 psi. I could have had it higher, but I'm going to go ahead and use the impact to take these 3 out here, and don't lose your nut. Anyway, that's going to be a 1/2 inch socket on that. I can't get over about 15 minutes, but the reason I got it at low air pressure is I don't want to, of course it's not going to matter with it, but I just don't want to strip anything out. Because these are self-tappers when it goes back in the new one, and I don't want to mess up these. You'll see in just a second what I'm talking about. Anyway, 1, 2, and 3. Now when we put these back in, we'll probably put some Loctite on them because we got the washer here. And then your pulley comes off, boom. Look at how this thing's, let me take you off the camera, off the tripod, but look at this. See how that's wobbling? But anyway, I didn't want to, these still got threads in them still, so that's why I did it at low impact, because I want to be able to, we're going to have to reuse this piece. Or I don't know, it may have came with a new one on the new assembly. But anyway, so now we're going to go ahead and loosen all these up. and it should just fall right out, hopefully. And I'm gonna have to go get another socket. Anyway, I'll be back. So I would recommend going ahead and taking the blade off. I'm just gonna be lazy, but these are 14 millimeter. Will work fine on these. Like I said, low pressure. And they'll come right off. And 3. This is probably the easiest one to change. If I had to change one of these on the outside, you can't get to the nuts because of the frame. So you have to, a little trickery involved, but it's the same principle. You just have to use a little know-how to get to them. And like I said, see, the spindle's still intact because these are threaded into the deck. So I'm gonna have to get underneath on the bottom side and loosen those up to get this to fall. But you get the idea. And this is the new spindle, and it does have a new holder on it, but it's unthreaded, so we'll have to tap those bolts back in. But they're self-tappers, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm not gonna show you this. I'm gonna get underneath and drop the spindle. So if anybody's wondering, yeah, I still haven't got the blade off yet, but you can see those bolts are what we're going to be removing underneath here. They are 13 millimeter. Now you could try a half, but it's not going to fit quite right. So I suggest you go ahead and use a 13 millimeter so you don't round anything off. And you want to take these out kind of gently again because you don't want to lose those threads that are going through the deck. Whereas if you go real heavy on it with the impact, you might lose those threads. So I'd cut your pressure down. You know, if you're using an air impact, cut it down to about 40 psi just so it goes slow. Yeah, anyway, so it would be something like this. Kind of easy them out, you know. And if you're new at this, I would suggest just using a socket, you know, a ratchet. Do it by hand. I mean, I've done this a few times, so I kind of know what I'm doing. But anyway, you get the idea. So once we get the rest of them out, we'll be back. In the meantime, we got one coming in. Hear that surgeon? He says he has no idle control on it. I think it's a carburetor problem. We're gonna find out. So he's unloading that. While he's unloading that, we got this spindle off. Now we're gonna take the blade off. But I left the blade on because I wanted to show you how bad this thing was moving around. Look at this. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, and this is the new spindle. We're gonna go ahead and put the pulley on because it'll fit right through the deck. So I've already tapped these holes out. And these are self-tappers. So what I did is I just got them started, and then I used my socket and threaded the holes. So we'll put the new pulley or the old pulley back on the new spindle, and I'm gonna use a little bit of thread locker. You can use blue or red. I grabbed red, so that's what we're gonna use. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but there is a lot of vibration going on here, so what the heck, can't hurt none. All right. So we're just going to get all 3 of them started and tighten them down. And then I'll go to the deck and go ahead and mount the spindle the same way we took it off. What I'll do is I'll get under there and start me the bolts, and I'll show you when I get there. And we'll go ahead and screw all the bolts up through, then we'll put the nuts back on, you know, on the top side. So, and another thing I like to do while this is off the mower before we put it on is you got a little grease stirk right here. You can go ahead and grease this thing up before you mount it. You know, whatever, but I'm gonna choose to do that now, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Tighten this down and get it back on the mower. We'll be back in a second. Hey, y'all wanted to see, I am greasing it. Well, I don't guess you can see, but grease gun pumping. Got about 5 or 6 pumps. Oop, there it goes. So we know we're greased up good. Now we'll see we have the spindle bolts back through, and I'm gonna hit these with some red Loctite as well, and we're gonna put the nuts back on. So for instance, just put your little dab on there, don't take much. And just start your bolts. Do that all the way around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll go from there. Now I have no idea what the torque spec is on these, but just good and tight all the way around. Try to go in a diagonal if you can. Get them all snug and then go back and torque them. And you may have to go underneath and hold it with a wrench, but they pretty much self-tighten themselves. Because you're working against each other, and since these are threaded through the deck already, they're not going nowhere. Alright, like I said, I don't know the torque spec. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't mention, you want to line your, there's a little fitting right here marked to line the zerk up for your grease fitting on the deck. You'll see that. And I can't show you, but my zerk is right here, and if you're looking down the deck, there's a little picture of a grease gun. Kind of shows you how, so you can get your, get in there to grease it later. And we'll get these, you don't want to go too far with them, but you want to make sure they're good. And like I said, I put Loctite on these too, because there's a lot of vibration here. Alright. That one's still a little loose. Yeah. And good. Alright. So now we're going to get our belt back on, put our blade on, and tighten the belt up a little bit, and we should get good to go. Alright guys, so we got it all back together, belt's back on. Now all we got to do is crank her up and see if it works. Alright, that belt's still a little bit loose. We're going to tighten a little more, but that's much better, much better. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's video. We've got a few things going on still around here. Boom. Got this Arian's Apex. It's got to have a new front caster. This is that came in. It has a Cola Courage on it. So anyway, but anyway, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving out there. I know it's coming up Thursday, and so everybody have a safe holiday. And we'll see you when we see you. Jungle Bob out.